Good morning, students. Today I am going to explain you the third chapter of Geography, class 7th, and the name of the chapter is Our Changing Earth. Students, in the previous chapter you have studied about the different layers of the earth. Now we will quickly recapitulate it. Earth is divided into three layers: crust, mantle and core. Crust is the uppermost layer over the Earth's surface. Below crust is mantle and the third layer is core. Crust, including the uppermost part of the mantle, forms lithosphere. Lithosphere is made up of rocks and minerals and is covered by a thin layer of soil. It has an irregular surface with various landforms such as mountains, plains, plateau, valley, etc. It is the layer on which we live. Lithosphere makes up the tectonic plates. There are major and minor plates depending on their size. There are total 7 major tectonic plates. The 7 major tectonic plates are African plate, Antarctic plate, Eurasian plate, Indo-Australian plate, North American plate, Pacific plate, South American plate. These plates move very slowly, just a few millimeters each year, because of the molten magma inside the earth. The intense heat in the Earth's core causes molten rock in the mantle layer to move. It moves in such a way where warm material rises up and cold material sinks down. And this pattern repeats over and over. Movement of these plates causes changes on the surface of the earth. These movements are because of different forces that we are going to learn in this chapter. Dear students, the changes that occur on the Earth's surface is due to two types of forces. One is endogenic force and second is exogenic force. Endogenic forces or internal forces occur in the interior of the earth, while exogenic forces or external forces work on the surface of the earth. In the given table, it is shown about endogenic and exogenic forces. Firstly, we will talk about endogenic forces. In this, some forces are sudden and some are diastrophic forces. Sudden forces work from inside the earth like volcanoes, earthquake, etc. and cause mass destruction on the earth's surface. On the other hand, diastrophic forces also work from inside the earth but have a very slow movement. For an example, the process of mountain formation is due to endogenic force only. Now, on the other hand, we have exogenic forces. Exogenic forces work on the surface and have erosional and depositional features. It is very less destructive and it tells how rivers, wind, sea waves and glaciers form different types of landforms. In the given table, it is shown about endogenic and exogenic forces. Firstly, we will talk about endogenic forces. In this, some forces are sudden and some are diastrophic forces. Sudden forces work from inside the earth like volcanoes, earthquake, etc. and cause mass destruction on the earth's surface. On the other hand, diastrophic forces also work from inside the earth but have a very slow movement. For an example, the process of mountain formation is due to endogenic force only. Now, on the other hand, we have exogenic forces. Exogenic forces work on the surface and have erosional and depositional features. It is very less destructive and it tells how rivers, wind, sea waves and glaciers form different types of landforms. Dear students, you can see the picture of volcano in this slide. Before explaining this slide, let me know how many of you know about volcano. I know many of you know about it, but today I will tell you more about volcano. A volcano is an opening or a vent in the earth's crust through which molten rock in the form of lava come out on the surface of the earth. Rocks inside the earth is in molten state, and this molten state of rock is called magma. And rocks are in molten state because of the high temperature inside the earth. When magma comes out of the magma chamber and reaches the earth's surface, it is called lava. Students, do you know volcano has different parts? First part is vent. It is an opening from which lava flows out. Second is crater. It is the top of volcano and is funnel shaped. Dear students, I am giving you a situation to imagine. Suppose you are sitting on a chair and doing some work on the table, and suddenly the chair and the table starts shaking and you observe some cracks in the wall and the fan in your room has also started shaking. What do you call this situation? I know all of you know the answer. Yes, it is an earthquake. Now I will tell you what causes an earthquake. When lithospheric plates move, the surface of the earth vibrates. These vibrations are called earthquakes. The place in the crust where movement starts is called focus, and the place on the surface above the focus is called the epicenter. Students, we use different types of devices to measure the things. For example, barometer is used for measuring atmospheric pressure. Thermometer is used for measuring temperature. Hygrometer measures humidity. Similarly, earthquake is also measured with a machine called seismograph. And the magnitude of earthquake is measured on the Richter scale. The study of earthquake is called seismology, and the person studying the earthquake is called seismologist. Children, earthquake can cause huge damage to life and property. The major earthquakes are always devastating in nature. The earthquake damages more near the epicenter and its strength decreases when it moves away from the center. If you people remember, a massive earthquake measuring 6.9 on Richter scale hit Bhuj town in Gujarat on 26th January in 2001, causing a lot of destruction and loss of life and property. Students, we cannot predict an earthquake. So one should always be ready and prepared in order to face an earthquake or any kind of natural disaster. During an earthquake, we can follow these preventive measures. First one is, try to move out to the nearest open area away from trees, poles and buildings. Second, a person can hide under a table or move to the corner of the room. Third, do not use lift or any other electrical appliances. Spread awareness among people to face any disaster confidently. Last but not the least, stay calm and act fast. Students, in the next slide, we are going to discuss about the different types of landforms. Landforms are formed by exogenic forces. The two processes, weathering and erosion, create different landforms on the surface of the earth. Students, do you know what is weathering? Weathering is the breaking up of rocks on the earth's surface. It is caused by wind, water, ice, plants, heating and cooling. They are the various agents of weathering. Now, the next process that we are going to discuss is erosion. Erosion is the removal of solid sediments, soil, rock and other particles in the natural environment. It usually occurs due to wind, water and ice. Children, do you know river is one of the most important agent of change? The running water in the river erodes the landscape and form variety of landforms through erosion, transportation and deposition. There are various features made by river like waterfall, meanders, oxbow lake, floodplains, levees and delta. Now students, the first feature that we are going to discuss is waterfall. Do you know there are thousands of small waterfalls in the world and the highest waterfall is Angel Falls of Venezuela. Have you ever thought how these waterfalls are formed? When water falls vertically from a sufficient height, it makes a waterfall. Next feature that we are going to discuss is meanders. Do you know river has its natural course or you can say natural path or way. When river enters a plain area, it twists and turns, forming large bends called meanders. Next feature made by river is Oxbow Lake. We have discussed about the formation of meanders in the plain areas. Now these meanders result in the formation of oxbow lake because of erosion and deposition along the side of the meander. In due course of time, meander loop cut off from the river and form a loop that looks like an oxbow, and it is known as Oxbow Lake. In its course, a river at times overflows its bank and leads to flooding of neighboring areas. Because of flood, it deposits layers of fine soil and other materials called sediment along the river bank. This results in the formation of floodplains. Students, do you know what are levees? Levees are the raised part of the river on both sides between which the river flows. Such raised banks are called levees. As the river keeps on flowing, it approaches towards the sea, and when it approaches towards the sea, the speed of the river decreases. It breaks up into number of streams called tributaries. Now we are going to discuss the most important landform made by river, that is delta. As you know, when river it approaches towards the sea, the speed of the river it decreases and it breaks up into number of streams called tributaries. So what do these tributaries do? These tributaries deposits sediments near the mouth of the river that results in the formation of delta. So now it is clear to you what is delta? Delta is a landform created at the mouth of the river by the deposition of sediments carried by the rivers. Apart from river, there are other natural agents also like sea waves. It also makes several landforms because of erosion and deposition. Sea waves hit the shore with great force and break the rocks and take away the loose and unconsolidated particles. Some features made by sea waves are sea caves, sea arcs, stack, sea cliff and beaches. Now we are going to discuss about sea caves. What happens is sea waves strikes at the rocks and develop cracks, and these cracks become wide and hollow and change into small sea caves. Now we are going to discuss the next landform made by sea waves, that is sea arcs. When sea caves become bigger and bigger and only roof of the cave is left, they form sea arcs. Further, because of erosion, the roof breaks and only walls are left. These wall-like features are called stacks. Now the next important landform is sea cliff. The steep rocky coast almost vertically above the sea water is cliff. One of the most important landform made by sea waves are beaches. Beaches are also formed by sea waves. Sea waves deposit sediments along the shores. The sediments over time lead to formation of beaches. Students, next agent is ice. Ice also create landform and it too has erosive power and depositional qualities. Features of ice are lakes and glacial moraines. Glaciers are rivers of ice that erode the landscape by bulldozing soil and stones and create deep hollows. As the ice melts, they get filled with water and form beautiful lakes in the mountains. Next is glacial moraines. Now, when the glaciers they move on, they carry materials like rocks, sand, and silt. And when ice is not able to carry this material, all these material along with it, it get deposited on the way. These deposits form glacial moraines. Students, do you know wind is an active agent of erosion and deposition in hot desert? When wind blows, it lifts and transports sand from one place to another place. Few important features made by wind are mushroom rocks, sand dunes, and loess. Next feature is mushroom rocks. In the desert area, rocks are seen in the shape of mushroom because wind erode the lower section of the rock more than the upper section. So the structure with narrower base and wider top are called mushroom rocks. One of the most important feature formed by wind is sand dune. When the wind blows, it lifts and transports sand from one place to another. When it stops blowing, the sand falls and gets deposited in low hills like structure. These structures are called sand dunes. Children, do you know when sand gets deposited in larger area, it is called loess. Students, now it must be clear to you that both endogenic forces and exogenic forces lead to the Earth's movement and give shape to the Earth's surface. Thank you.